Welcome back to a bit Gamey and MAKT 06, which is messing about with kit bashing and terrain, number 6. What am I doing? Yeah, it's a few bits and pieces that I put together. Well, I was originally planning to do this. I was going to do like nice scenic kind of diorama displays. That would just about double up as wargaming stuff, but generally very aiming at being very aesthetic. But I've kind of given up on that for the time being because of storage problems. So I'm just doing them in different bits, small pieces which add up together. So anyway, the list is this time is a marsh pond, which isn't there, a regular sort of village pond, an orchard, a kind of sandbag bunker for anti-aircraft weapon, some barbed wire. I did them before, but some barbed wire strips and a horse musket era gabion type defense as an experiment. I want to do a whole bunch more of them at some point, but I just did one just to experiment. So that's it. Basically, it's going to be a bunch of clips describing what I did. I say it's not a tutorial because I don't know what I'm doing, but it's kind of I say it's. I can't. It's not a tutorial in that I can't claim to know what I was doing, but it might be useful for someone. Just might get some ideas from it. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, yeah. So that's that. This is the intro, and the next clip will be on the marsh pond. So, quick update. It's all copied from other from the terrain making people. You get your little base, MDF in my case, because I don't like the sound of foam. Like some grey stuff around it to make a little rim, and a couple of little blobs in the middle there, because this is going to be a marsh, a large marsh base. So and painted, so it's painted brown on the sides, and it's black first, which I didn't like, and then I painted blue on top of it. So it's a kind of weird thing. It's I don't know anything about colours, paint and stuff, but after watching various videos, you get the idea. Sometimes you can mix paints to get the colour you want. And sometimes you can just paint stuff on top, and it kind of changes the shade somehow. And you probably can't see it on here, but it is slightly different from. It's got the blue on the black, and it's made a kind of odd. It has a kind of. It's like a hint of blue on it, which is quite an interesting effect. I don't know what it's going to look like. So I got some resin water that I was going to use on the rivers, but I decided against it. So I wanted to see what it would look like on a pond, or two ponds in this case. So anyway, grey stuff, MDF base, and some kind of weird mixture of paint. That's next step is to try and pretty it up. Okay. And the next stage of my improved, hopefully, marsh terrain, got a swampy pond full of junk, tufts and various bits of cork and everything, because as we know, swamps are always full of cork. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. It's quite nice. And the general idea I'm having is, because I'm going to do my terrain in kind of 9" by 9" square tiles. I mean, not in reality, just as a kind of as a way of setting out and got all these little ones around it. You know, creating a little 9 by 9 inch square. That's the plan. And you know, I'm liking it. It's good fun. You can imagine, you know, units of skirmishers being able to thread their way through the terrain, not getting blocked by anything. Yeah, the last stage is to pour some resin in the pond. So that might be a total disaster, as I've never done it before, but so far so good. Final stage in my marshy pond. Use this stuff from wherever it was, Wood and Cynics, I think, and it says get on water ripples. So I was made a little bit nervous because not knowing quite what that's supposed to mean, if it was going to be some kind of special sculpty stuff, but it's just a big pot of some kind of resin, I suppose. Don't actually know. It was filled right to the brim. I imagine that's because, you know, to stop it going off, which means when you when you open it, you might be in for a bit of a shock if you don't if you're not holding it up straight. But yeah, I mean, apart from all the various accidents, and I think it looks good, especially in combination with all the little ones. I hope it's set and doesn't all fall out. Yeah, it's one interesting thing, which is you know, I don't know what I'm talking about, so maybe you're wrong, but when I was painting, when I was thinking about what to paint on the base, I did it black at first, and that seemed too much, and so I did some blue on top, which was barely noticeable without the resin in. It was black with a slight shade of blue. But once you pour the resin in, it comes out not sort of light blue, but you know, quite distinctly dark blue, which I think was rather good. It was a complete accident, and you know, there may be a logical reason for it, or maybe something dumb I did. But yeah, it says it's not mixed black and blue, which might have the same effect for all I know. But it was a layer of black and a layer of blue. I don't know if that makes a difference, but it's quite interesting, you know, end result from my point of view. So yeah, just pour it in. Don't pour too much because it'll come over. It'll go over where you want. There's probably a better way of doing it. You know, using some kind of tool to layer on the resin. But I didn't. I just poured it and it got all over the tufts, which wasn't intended. But you know, maybe it looks okay. Yeah, so that's that really. First attempt using water effect resin, and it's good. It's good. So that'll be my marsh tile. Okay. And the other thing on my list is a pond. Yeah, it's yeah, like a village pond. And I think I was originally planning to do a kind of diorama thing, like a little village, like a cottage or whatever, and a little pond, and you know, whatever, a tree or whatever. So it's a nice kind of, you know, pretty and aesthetic thing. But I don't want, yeah, I don't want to do because it's a storage problem. Because I was going to have it like a 9-inch square or a foot square, a little kind of diorama sort of villagey thing. But again, it's a problem of storage. So I decided I'll probably just do a separate individual pond. Haven't decided on which shape to use yet. But the problem with that is you know, the one I did for the swamp, which I'm, you know, very happy with, is you know, I can do one like that, except, you know, if it's just a basic pond, there's not going to be anything in it. You know, it's just be that little ridge around the edge and the water, you know, fake water, and you know, what else? It'd just be blank. So I mean, there's no reason, that's not a problem. I could just do that, but I'd like to think of something a bit, somehow to do it, something more than just a rim with a roller inside. So I need to think about that. But yeah, so I'm going to use one of these. I don't know which one yet. One of these as the basis, and put a little ridge of green stuff around it, and the water. But I want something else. I get, maybe get a couple of swans or something. I don't know. To be decided. So pond part 2. Pick this little square one to be the base for it. Bit of grey stuff, which I don't know what the difference is between that and green stuff, but it's basically, seems like the same stuff as green stuff, but it's not green. So whatever. Yeah, and I decided to try and make it more interesting. I put the water in it. Is have that little extra bit on the corner there, and then whack on one of these, which are so you can see these little tufts, these flowery tufts. That's going to be my decoration for it. I mean, it's not that great, but it's something. I thought, it's mainly just to mention these things. A place called Footpath on that Gaming Scenic Models, whatever it's called, site. But they're pretty good. Got eight of these little clusters of flowers. I quite like that. So yeah, so that's it. It's not going to be very interesting, but it's going to be a little bit more decorative. Yeah, so that's that, I think. The next stage, a bit of flocking. Just needs the water for the pond. So welcome back. That's my pond. As you see, little tuft on the side there. Not very pretty, but it's makes it a bit prettier than it would have been if it was just flocked. So I'm quite pleased with that. Rather good. So another thing, I bought these. There's a came in a box or whatever. I don't know. These sandbags, individual. I don't know. If I remember rightly, which I probably don't, they're kind of shoulder width. I could be wrong with that because it's been so many years. But yeah, so I'm imagining something sandbags shoulder width. They're sort of, I suppose they're about 20mm. I can't really tell. But anyway, you've got loads of individual sandbags. I think there's 4. I think it was 4 strips, maybe 5. Why would you want this? I don't know. It's like, if I could see that a use for them. So like if you're modelling, like a building, a defensive structure in a building, that you'd have these, and you could put a bunch of them by windows and by doors and such, and you can move them around individually to create the effect you want, or on individual bases, as a little barrier. They're some more flexible than the other ones that come in blocks, but obviously more of a pain to put together. But I had a thought, because in my World War II stuff, I had the thought of getting an anti-aircraft base. These are British from SHQ. Have an anti-aircraft base, and putting them on on something like this, but built up much higher. So it comes up to the base of the machine gun, and have that as a kind of a generic sort of anti-aircraft kind of defensive thing. So that's what I was going to do. That's the next thing, is to build that up, until it's high enough to suit this, and then I'll just have that. That can be. It says it's for the British, but I mean I can just proxy it for Polish and French if I want. But yeah, so I need to get it another two or three high to make it a good little defensive structure. So, anti-aircraft bunker part 2. I mean, it's a bit rubbish, but big holes in it. And I think if I was doing this properly, like, you know, a proper modeler, I'd probably do the sandbags in double rows, because, you know, I don't think it'd actually stand up well. You know, whatever, it wouldn't stand up like that. But yeah, I didn't do the first one near enough to the edge. But anyway, it's, you know, apart from all the holes it's been see through and generally rubbish, you know, it's quite good. It'll do for what I want. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the name of the plastic sandbags, but it's, you know, if you go to that, you know, Games Model Scenic or whatever it's called, and search for sandbags, you probably get some. Say that they're, you know, about the right size for, I don't know, 176. I think you could probably use them okay for 15mm as well. I think they're quite useful if you're going to be messing about doing kind of homemade defences. Then you know, I think they're worth buying, and, you know, it makes a nice little thing for your little anti-aircraft gun, or machine gun rather. Yeah, so that's that. That's the next bit. Had to go back over the little anti-aircraft bunker and put a second row into it, make it look a bit thicker. Cause it's you know, it's not realistic being you know, it'd fall over. It would fall over if it was really like that. But so it looks a bit better now. Well, it's not painted yet, but I don't know. It's a bit better. I had to, because I put it too far towards that end, I had to knock it all off and glue it all back on again. And so now it's not quite wide enough for the finger, for the base. So never mind. It's going to have to be like that, which was a bit stupid, but not the end of the world. Anyway, so that's getting to that point. I'm quite happy with it. I say the you know, all those little plastic sandbags are a right pain to put together if you're going to try and do anything big. And so I wouldn't do this in the future. I mean, it's good for like little things, like I say, on the windowsill, or, you know, on the doorstep. But, you know, a few bags sort of to create a little barrier. And I think it'd be very useful in the future. But these but this is, you know, I don't think I want to do anything like this again. If I was going to do it again, I'd probably have an earth barrier, right, for the bottom half, have an earth barrier, and then have a few sandbags on top. But anyway, it was just an experiment, and I think it was okay. Quite pleased with the colour on this. I primed it black because I had some black primer, and when I put the I don't know, it's Iraqi sand for the sandbags. I don't know if that's a good colour or not. I kind of vaguely remember there being that sort of colour, but, you know, whatever, memory. Yeah, it's quite good. It doesn't, well, it does. The holes aren't quite so obvious. There are a couple, but from that angle, it's pretty good. Yeah, so more free, or rather, it needs to be more free. The anti-aircraft bunker. You know, lots of sandbags, bits of what we call it, lichen and flock. Rather good. And nearly goes in. Doesn't quite go in properly. The machine gun base, but, you know, that's pretty good. Liking that. Another thing I planned, I got a bunch of these gabions from Renedra, I think they're Renedra, I'm not sure entirely. But anyway, you get 10 of these little plastic gabions in the set for about a £5, which is all very good, because I was planning just to use a couple each on artillery bases, but then I glued the gun on too far to the front, And so you couldn't really do it that way because they couldn't get round to the gun to reload it. But so blah blah. So that was a plan out of the way. So so I was thinking of doing instead was, because there's some Spanish succession battles where there's a kind of defensive barrier. So I was thinking maybe doing something like that to be the barriers across the battlefield, with these gabions. And the problem with that, because these gabions, they're like a fiver each, or rather a fiver for 10. So that would give me 2 bases of them for for a fire, which is it's not the end of the world. But I sort of thought whether I could spin it out a little bit and using these other things I got, these little bits of matchsticks from games model sceneries, whatever it's called, games model scenic. And so I was thinking of doing something like making a barrier, a kind of a fence with these little matchsticks, and then either just having 3 with the matchsticks in between, or 2 maybe, with them there and there, and and sort of build up these matchsticks, up like 4 or 5 of them in height. So I don't know. So that's basically another experiment I've just decided on because I messed up the artillery gabions. So I've got another. Well, whatever. I might keep 2 of these gabions for another artillery piece, and try and do I don't know, 2 or 3 to get as many bases of defences as out of these 10 gabions. I mean, it's not a big deal because I always get another lot. I was just again, it's just an experiment, and I'm quite proud of this. Or not proud exactly, pleased. That's a better word. Pleased. Like I say, from matchsticks or match splints they call them. Don't know why. From Model Scenery Supplies. Yeah, because they're great. I mean, if you're going to do modelling, so I'm not a good modeller, but you can cut them in different shapes, glue them around, do stuff with them. So that's pretty good. Nice little wall. So I'm rather proud of that. Or not, I say proud is the wrong word. Pleased. Yeah, for your kind of what's the word? It's not 7 years old. Yeah, horse and musket barrier, gabions, and some kind of wooden fencing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I say. I just like it. It's the matchsticks. You cut them up, glue them, and you can make a lot of different things with them. So that's definitely a win in terms of future terrain projects. The what's it called? Not 7 years war. The horse and musket era gabion barricade defence thing. I want a whole bunch of those. It's only a 3 foot tables. I wanted like 2 foot worth of barrier across for one of the games I'm planning. But I'm quite pleased with that because there's bits of matchsticks and some gabions and some lichen. Rather pleased. So one of the other things I was planning to do was to do an orchard. Get a base like this and do a nice little kind of diorama type orchard thing. But afterwards, I sort of decided it might be better to do it so it's more flexible. So you can basically have the base and then surround it with different barriers for different places. So like in different terrain. So I'd say it could be hedges like that, like this, or it could be, you know, fences like in the Poland thing, or it could be walls. Oop, get the walls out. So that was the idea. I was going to try and do a nice little artsy diorama, but then I decided to make it more flexible by having having a sort of central part that's separate, and just having, you know, different walls to be around it. So I don't know. It's not very good, and I'm not sure it should be maybe smaller. But anyway, so that's the idea. It's to make a base for an orchard, which is I don't know what the word is. Yeah, it's sort of flexible. It can be used for different things. So not quite sure how I'm going to do that. It wouldn't take much. Obviously, it just needs you know, paint it green and stick some trees on it. The only question is whether I glue down the kind of base of the tree, and then, you know, stick the trees into the holes, or have the trees kind of separate and move them around. So I don't know, how to think on that a bit more. The progress on the orchard so far is just painting it green, which is, you know, not very much, but anyway, whatever. And I'm just trying to decide whether to have the, you know, fix the base of the tree onto this board, and yeah, and leave the actual tree off, so for storage, or whether to have the trees as a separate thing you can just plonk around. I don't know. It's a subject, because basically I was originally wanting to do a very aesthetic orchard, you know, make it all very pretty. But you know, storage. So the idea of having it fixed onto there's, you know, no reason for that at all, apart from the fact that it kind of nudges or hints at the point of trying to make it pretty. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, I do know I'm going to attach the bases to this just because I want to, for some reason. Yeah, so that's it's going to be a very minimal orchard, but never mind. Because I had this, you know, when I was looking for all the various videos online, I was going to do this kind of, you know, really pretty diorama type terrain bases, but I don't think it's very practical at the moment for storage. But I say I will at some point. I'm going to do that. I'm going to just make these really pretty sort of 9-inch square or 1 foot square bases, and try and you know, so that you can pop around on your table and just you know, just aesthetics really. No real other reason than that. And on my attempted orchard base, so it's really it's just you know, a base with a flock on it. Just try to, you know, jiggle it around, kind of, you know, different flocks and in different places. Try and make it look more visually interesting. It's, you know, it's not quite what I originally intended. So I was originally going to do a proper kind of diorama base. That was a diorama that was supposed to work as a wargame thing as well. But I didn't in the end, because I thought, what's that? Is storage is the issue. I thought I'd try and make it as nice as possible without it being an actual proper diorama. And, you know, I'm quite pleased with that really. It's not like, you know, proper beautiful or whatever, or aesthetic, but it's definitely good enough. I mean, you could do it. You could, you know, it was meant to be an orchard. Hence the sort of the kind of roughly rough, you know, the arrangement of the trees. But it could be any, you know, that base. You could use it for you could use it as a wood, if you didn't want to have a, you know, a thing around it for the orchard. Or you could put, you know, other things. You get some other things like bushes or whatever that will stick in the same holes, or different trees. You know, so it's just a wood. So I think I'm quite pleased with that, because of the, as I had this issue deciding on whether to do big diorama bases and not knowing how to store them. I'm pleased with that. That's rather good. Yep. So that's that. Also, just because I did another couple of barbed wire bases from, again, you get the bit of paint, a bit of flock. Good, like it. So my issue with storage is RUB boxes, really useful boxes. And what I've been doing up to now is I've been doing this low lying stuff, small bits of scatter terrain type deal, and in these 3 shallow trays. And so the plan is, or rather, what is the plan? I don't know. Should I be doing for more of them, or should I be getting different size boxes? So it's all a bit of an issue in terms of how to store it and getting what boxes and what not. I'm trying to avoid getting too many really useful boxes, because I've got loads over the last year or so, gradually getting filled up with different figures. And so at the stage now where I want to do buildings and trees, I'm trying to think what's the best way to store them. In those size boxes, with bigger trays or no trays or whatever. So it's all up in the air. So I'm doing everything except buildings and woods. But I'm going to have to do it eventually. But anyway, that's all an issue, all a problem, which I shall have to solve at some point. But I'm guessing probably not yet. Ooh. And they're getting a bit full now. So it's all going to be a bit of an issue going forward, trying to figure out how to do it. But anyway, I'm quite pleased with the latest lot. Quite good. Ooh. Can you see all that? I don't know if you can. Just doing this just to do a little photo. So anyway, yeah, don't know if that was entertaining to anyone, but it was entertaining to me. So that's okay. Okay, toodle pip.